welcome back, guys. This is a BMW 135i convertible with a automatic manual flippy paddle gearbox transmission. This thing is not stock. That's always a good note. That's always a nice sound. So let's take this thing for a test drive, because this is actually one of the cars that I have always wanted to drive, and I've always heard great things about the newer BMW straight six twin turbocharged motors that pretty much come in everything nowadays. But it's being considered the new 2JZ. That's one thing I've always heard, and I've never fully had the chance to experience one. And this is the perfect opportunity to take a test drive in this thing and let you know what I think of it, because the last video I did was of the Mazda Miata, which is a rather slow car, but fun, analog, and gives you that great feel that you get in that era of vehicle. Whereas this one, modern, you got automatic climate control, heated seats, electronic convertible top, all the bolsters in the seat adjust in every perfect way you can ever think of. And it's got stability control, because you truly need it with a car like this, with this a little bit more power than the Miata's used to. But let's go ahead and roll the windows down so you guys can hear this thing, because it sounds... Holy shit. Oh man. Okay. I did not know this car was tuned to this level. I haven't even looked underneath the hood yet, read all the full specs, but I am lightly pressing maybe 5% in third gear and I lift. And if I turn off sport mode, it's supposed to go away. Let's turn it off in just regular auto mode and see what happens. Okay, so if it's not in sport mode, we don't get the crackles and pops. That's nice, okay. I thought it was an all-time thing, whereas I think that might get a little, we probably will never get annoying, so let's just put it back on manual and sport mode and have the, this thing rips. So this BMW, the 135i in particular, has been a car on my radar ever since they came out with that 1M Coupe generation of it. Love the body style, love the short, compact nature of it. This thing's got a back seat, which is nice compared to the Miata. But I've always liked this era of BMW 1 Series, because I think it's just, let's see, let's do this. Let's just feel this thing out. Holy shit. Okay. Let's roll up the windows for a second. So one thing I've just noticed is this thing was probably tuned from a torque saving standpoint, in the respect that there is a little bit of slippage in second gear if you get on it instantaneously. Once it gets going, it don't have that problem, but it's definitely got boost by gear, which is always nice. It feels a lot more torquey in fourth gear, and that's probably because of a save the drivetrain standpoint. But fourth gear is, whew, I don't know what that feels like compared to third, but third feels good, but man, fourth is strong. I like this. This is nice. So back to what I was saying, I actually have always wanted to look at picking up an older version, particularly just like this, manual transmission 135i, as just a fun car, because it goes back to what everyone's saying about the engine being the next 2JZ, or the current 2JZ that is in current production, because of the ability to strap on bigger turbos, up the boost. It's just got a ton of robustness to it that a lot of people talk about. And that's not saying that there's issues and different problems, especially on some of the generations of them. But in general, it's an inline six, which is a super smooth powertrain. It's got twin turbos factory, so you can always just crank up the boost a little bit to add power. You're not having to do a ton of work to it. And it's fun to drive. This car, I mean, the 135i is a short, stout little thing. It's not very long. It's very compact, like a Miata. Hold on. This thing rips. I'm guessing it has quite a, no, not quite a bit. I bet it's got a lot more power than stock, but in general, you still got the same basic engine, and I guarantee this thing doesn't have an upgraded turbo. It probably just has some basic bolt-ons and a tune. Whereas most modern turbocharged cars, if you own one, just look at what Mercedes does with the E63 with just a simple tune. If you guys never seen it, it can add 200 horsepower in some instances. I don't know how much this one's adding, but it's adding a good bit. I'd be very curious to know how much is on this one. But yeah, that's the joy of a modern car. You know, I touted in the last video how I love the older cars, and I do, because they're simpler. But you know, when you're adding power to Miata, you got to add a whole turbo kit and everything going into it. Whereas a car like this, BMW has done the hard work for you. They've added all the different lines, intercooler, routed everything perfectly, tested it, and reliability tested everything so it doesn't fall apart. And all you got to do is up the tune, up the boost, add some more fuel, change the ignition timing in the computer, and let the computer add the horsepower. That's a lot easier to do. And that is why I do love the older cars. But I will say that bang for your buck, you can't go wrong with a modern turbocharged car, especially when it makes those kind of noises. One thing we are going to have to do is put the top down and listen to this thing really rip, because that's what I was told needs to happen. So we are at a stoplight. Let's go ahead and see if we can have enough time to lower this baby. Before the light turns green. Nope, it's not going. We'll have to stop somewhere and see if we can get that fixed, because it's not going down. One thing I did notice with the windows down just now, that this thing is catless. Definitely catless. You can smell it. It's a good smell. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to drive a car that's catless. Not necessarily illegal, but it smells like race car. Everybody likes the smell of race car. Legit sounds like gunshots. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, and as always, enjoy every mile.